What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my MLB Week 2 power rankings. Could be an over ranking of the teams after only 3 or 4 games in the first weekend of the MLB season. But before I get into it, make sure you guys check to see if you guys are subscribed to the channels. I know it does you guys nothing to subscribe to the channel, but it means everything to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button. So make sure you guys go check that before I get into it. So let's start it here. 26 through 30, probably your usual culprits that you see this part in the season. Rockies off to an awful start, but we're still going strong on the over-under of 53 and a half. Twins take one on the road against Baltimore. White Sox get skunked on the road. Pirates take one from the Mets, and then the Angels actually split the series to start the season with the Astros going 2-2, which could play a big role later down the stretch. But these teams, obviously, Pirates have some big expectations this year. Out of all these teams, they're the ones that have the best chance, I think, to make the playoffs. White Sox, obviously didn't get off to a hot start. They go into Miami this week, who just swept the Rockies, so they're on fire. And then they get Toronto at home in their opening series. Twins get Tampa at home in their opening series. Rockies get Philly at home, which is a tough one. They kind of have a brutal schedule to start here, the Rockies. And then you get the Pirates going to Cincinnati and then three at home against Baltimore. So tough games there for the Pirates as well. And then the Angels. I mean, these bottom dwellers here in the first slide here, they got a tough schedule to start their season. So these teams could, it could get really bad in a hurry if it goes that way, but it also could get really good for them fast if they can pull off a sweep against any of these teams here this week. A lot of these teams are interchangeable at this point in the season, besides the Rockies, unfortunately. 21 through 25, it's going to be the Cardinals jumping up 7 spots after a surprising series victory at home against the Tampa Bay Rays. I thought the Rays would go in there and win that series, probably flip it the other way in the Rays' favor, but the Cardinals really showed up. Their pitching showed out, and JJ Weatherholt made his debut, and what a debut it was! Hit a home run in his first game. They get the Mets and then go on the road to face the Tigers. So more of a prove it week this week against the Cardinals, against some playoff caliber teams. Giants, awful start to the season, first game of the year for the MLB season, and they get skunked on national television against the Yankees, and doesn't get any easier for them. They go to San Diego, and then they return home against the Mets. So this Giants team could be looking at a really poor start for some teams that really need some wins as well. Diamondbacks in the same boat. Their schedule didn't play them any favors. Unfortunately, they were the team that started out with the Dodgers this year. Three against the Tigers at home, and then the four against the Braves. Teams that probably wild card teams on the cusp of winning the division. Diamondbacks got to get right this week because they don't want to fall too far in a hole too early to the Dodgers, because we already know the Dodgers can run away with the NL West like it's nothing. The Rays at 24, lost to those Cardinals, like I mentioned. They're still on the road, actually. They don't even have a home series till next week. They go three in Milwaukee and three at Minnesota. Easier challenge in Minnesota for them. I know Milwaukee and Minnesota isn't a far trip for them, so not too much of a road traveling week this week. They look to get back on track. The A's looking to get their first win after going 0-3 in Toronto last week. They head to Atlanta. That game actually just got over as I'm making this, and they lost, so they're 0-4. Looking for their first win still, as it looked like it could be a tough week for them as they get the Aces for Houston when they return home. 16 through 20. Now, these are the teams I think you can put in kind of any which way. Maybe I moved the Nationals up a little too much because they went into Chicago, and not only did they destroy the Cubs in one game, they kind of played better in later innings than the Cubs did. And let's see if they can keep it rolling as they go to Philly and the Dodgers this week at home. So Nationals could be moving right back to where they were if it's a bad week for them. The team that's in 20th is the Royals. Didn't do too much, but didn't do bad, I guess you could say, going to Atlanta. They return home to face the division rival Twins and three against Milwaukee. Royals team, I think, is going to be flirting around 500 all year and possibly into a wild card spot. So it doesn't really surprise me here that they're going to win a game or win a series 2-1 or lose a series 1-2, because I think this team is going to be competitive in almost every single game. Guardians are the same way as they split with Seattle on the road. 2-2. I think they can be very happy. That's why I'm moving them up one spot here. with their start to the season. They shouldn't be going to Cleveland. That's wrong. So whoever they play this starting of the week, that's who they're going to play, not themselves. Then they go to Chicago. So the Guardians could be a team to look out for here. They won the AL Central after Detroit's collapse last year, and they're the team that slowly gets it done every year. And, you know, I don't know. I just feel like the Guardians, it's kind of hard to not pencil them into the playoffs no matter how they get there. Somehow, some way they're going to get there. And, going 2-2 against Seattle this early in the season shows that they are going to be a good team this year. Talk about a good team. It's going to be the Marlins. I think one of the most underappreciated teams and potential breakout teams of the year is going to be those Marlins. And they start off the season hot. Sandy and Yuri Perez dominate in this one against the Rockies offense. Let's see if they can take the back half of the rotation to Chicago and win those games. Then they go into New York for the first series on the road. And that's going to be a tough one there for the Marlins to go into New York and possibly steal a series. But good start for the season for the Marlins. 16, it's going to be the Houston Astros. Like I said, the 2-2 split with the Angels at home to start your season. I don't think it was what they were looking for, but I don't think they're too mad about it being this early. They didn't lose the series, but they didn't win it. So that's why I'm moving them back here 6 spots. And what's crazy is they didn't just give Jordan the home run. They ruled it a foul ball because we all knew that ball was gone. The common sense thing, it just doesn't apply to the rules, unfortunately. Umpires should have just got together and ruled it a home run. So that's my biggest takeaway here from the Astros weekend. They get Boston and the Athletics, who are reeling right now. So big series. I know every series is a big series in baseball, but they could really put the A's in a hole if they can sweep them there. So that's definitely something to watch out for here as we enter the weekend. Then the teams just missing out on the top 10 and actually falling out of the top 10 are going to be the Phillies and the Red Sox. And I'll start with the Red Sox at 15. Going into Cincinnati, I think a lot of people were excited to see what Boston was going to do, but it was kind of flipped. The Reds are at 14 here as they beat Boston, and the Reds really showed out here. The young guys, Sal Stewart had a great weekend after taking a 110-mile-an-hour liner off his wrist that looked disgusting. Still came in, hit a home run the next day, had a great weekend. And the Reds pitching staff showed out in this one as well. Rhett Lauder had a good performance in this one. And, without Hunter Green, that's kind of be the question mark for this Reds team is who is going to step up for this one. And if that's the case, this Reds team could be very dangerous here as they get Pittsburgh at home and then they travel for the first road series at Texas. Red Sox, on the other hand, go to Houston and San Diego, so it doesn't get easier for them here to start it off as they look to get back on track. And I think the San Diego series could be a very good series for both of those ball clubs. If, whoever wins that series could definitely vault them in the right direction. Then 13 is going to be the Cubs after a shocking opening series loss of the year. Bregman looked good, but it wasn't enough. They just inched closer in losing that series to the Nationals. I don't think it's panic mode. I mean, it's only one weekend, right? But if they lose to the Angels at home in that series, then I think fans might be a little concerned because, going into Cleveland is tough with their gritty style of baseball, but don't want to overreact too much. I think this Cubs team just needs a week or two to really get on pace and start figuring it out because that's kind of what they did last year and started to run away with the Central early in the year and then faltered late, of course. But the Cubs are definitely in a good spot right now, along with the Phillies at number 12. And I say that because played Texas tough in that series. That's why Texas is 11 over the Phillies. Both these teams played some good baseball. But the Phillies, look at their schedule. Washington and Colorado, definitely. I would be very shocked if the Phillies are 500. Um, well, actually, it's not possible at this time next week. I'd be surprised if the Phillies are under 500 at this point next week. I, I really can see this Phillies team going 6-0 this week and being probably in my top five next week with the schedule they got here and how it lines up for them. Rangers, however, kind of opposite. I think the Rangers could be under 500 actually with Baltimore and Cincinnati. I say that because, Baltimore is a gritty team. Cincinnati looks like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with early because they started out hot. So who knows how that is going to go there for the Rangers. Then my top 10, the 6 through 10. It's going to be the Mariners falling out of my top five, going to six. Split the series with Cleveland, but the rotation looked great. So definitely something to take away there. Just need to figure out how to score more. Tough. early season series against the Yankees at home before they go to the Angels in a divisional series. The Mets win the series to the Pirates, but it wasn't really convincing, and it really wasn't pretty either. Besides the first game, where the Pirates forgot to play defense for an inning for Paul Skeens. Other than that, this Mets team didn't really do too much in action, so that's why I'm dropping down two spots as they travel to St. Louis and San Francisco this week to kick their road trip off. Braves move into my top 10 after winning the series at home against Kansas City, which I didn't expect to happen, but they did. And it was on the back of Chris Sale, of course, dominating like he always does. They get the A's, who, like I said, are winless. So the Braves are now 3-1 as we are recording this. And they travel to Arizona, which I think could be a very good series. Both of their aces are going to be lined up. Gallon, Cal, and Merrill Kelly are going to be facing this Braves lineup, which will be must-see TV on, I believe it's Thursday and Friday. And then the Orioles at 9, take the series win against the Twins, which you have to do in this one. I know moving up five spots is kind of crazy for beating a lower team, but there's some teams faltering. And the Orioles deserve the high praise for what they did this offseason and what they already have showed us here. They get Texas and Pittsburgh on the road. Expect the Orioles to be above 500 as well next week. Then the Padres lost to my Tigers at home. I was kind of surprised that the Padres didn't really do too much in the first two games, especially the pitching didn't really show out, but it showed out on Saturday night, excuse me, for sure, blanking the Tigers in that one and scraping a win out of that series. And they start early with their divisional series. It's going to be the Giants at home early in the week, and then they travel all the way across the country to face the Red Sox, which, like I said earlier, is going to be a great series. Then 1 through 5, I don't think we're too surprised here with the top four, all the undefeated teams remaining in the MLB here. 1 through 4, of course, the top three don't change from my preseason rankings. Expected there, they always dominate. And then the Brewers, I was kind of surprised that they did sweep the White Sox there. Mizorowski looked really sharp in this one in his first start. Pretty much did whatever he wanted there, and they cruised to a victory in that game. Then my Tigers move up 3 after winning the series in San Diego. Like I said, kind of surprised by that one, but McGonigal is the real deal already, and he is already showing out why he deserved to be on this roster since day one. As they travel to Arizona and then they return home for a weekend series against the Cardinals. Brewers have Tampa at home before they moved to Kansas City. Blue Jays get the Rockies at home. Could be 6-0 when they travel to Chicago to face the White Sox. Yankees, like I said, great early week series in Seattle. Must see TV for that one. Then they return home for their first weekend series against the Marlins, which I think could be a very good series. Ryan Weathers, I think, is expected to start against his former team, the Yankees Marlins trade, obviously. So that would be something to look out for there. Then the Dodgers. Get a tougher team coming to town this week in Cleveland. I think Cleveland could pose some fits for the Dodgers, just how the style of play for Cleveland. And then the Dodgers travel across the country to face the Nationals to close it out. That's going to be it for my week 2 power rankings. Check back next week. I'm going to have standings so you can keep track of where all these teams rank in their division. Then I'm going to have some other player highlights as well, like players of the week, pitchers of the week, so on and so forth, and news, of course. So it'll be more in depth next week after, we really get this thing kicking off. But once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.